You're listening to the Oklahoma On Stage podcast. We're glad you've joined us. We can be found on most platforms, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you have any comments or questions, we'd love to hear them. So drop us an email at oklahomaonstage@gmail.com or use the comment form on our website, which is oklahomaonstage.org. If you like the podcast, please share it with someone. And now, sit back and enjoy another great episode.
Welcome back, everybody, to Oklahoma On Stage. As always, I'm Tim, your host, and today we're sitting at the wonderful theater at Tulsa Community College. I will work on that name shortly, but we're nearly 30 years in theater education, over 300 productions directed and acted, students who've gone on to major network shows, award-winning films, international performance companies, and plays published internationally that are performed around the world. Today's guest has built an incredible legacy in Oklahoma theater, from helping establish the Oklahoma State Thespian Festival to running Tulsa Community College's thriving 80-student theater program. This is a master class in dedication, creativity, and what it means to truly invest in the next generation. Oklahoma On Stage family, join me in welcoming Mark Frank to the podcast.
Welcome. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you for being here.
I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so glad you asked me to do this.
Awesome. So as we do with all of our shows, we start right off with the elephant in the room. Tell us a little bit about you and how you got started in theater.
Well, I wasn't supposed to do theater. I went in my high school. I was on the football team. I was on the track team, wrestling team, and I was my dad had moved us from Rockford, Illinois to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He had gotten some trouble embezzling some money from the 7-Eleven store that he owned. And so we had to move to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I had to take 4 buses to get to my high school, because I went to my high school like right in the middle of the term. And so I took 4 city buses to get, and I went to an all-black high school. I was one of 3 white kids. And the only thing I knew to do just to jump into the high school was to get involved into an activity. So I did like football, I did soccer, I did track, I did wrestling. I did try out for a production of Grease, that they had an all-black production of Grease, and I did not get cast. But that was my first big like foray into trying something that was outside of sports. But I got a scholarship to Iowa State to be a shortstop, played AAA baseball, and I don't know, I liked going to that audition for Grease. There was something about it, and I said, well, I think I want to go to college and do theater. So my mom and dad, their heads were spun, but they at the time they were kind of they were struggling health-wise with the drink, and so the best thing for me to do would be to go off to college, and I did. And I became a theater major, and went to a small Catholic college up in up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, called Viterbo College, now Viterbo University. And it was a college with nuns, lots of nuns, and had a really good theater program, about maybe 20, 25 people in a private college. Went there for 4 years. Now they've got like 190 majors, and it's a university, and I couldn't even recognize the place if I went back. And from there, I got into Purdue University on a whim and a prayer. I wasn't going to get an assistantship, but I went and I met a guy that just liked my audition and said, "Hey, we'll take you, but we won't give you any money if you want to go to Purdue." So I moved to West Lafayette, Indiana. I was in love with a girl, and dropped out of Purdue. I went back to La Crosse for her and found her cheating with somebody else. So it was not a good choice in my life. Went back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and worked at a liquor store for about a year, and then another college that gave me an offer that I turned down. I slowly crawled back to that college and said, "Hey, you remember that offer you gave me?" And I said I was going to go to Purdue, and you guys can just go fly a kite. Well, I'd like that scholarship now, if you don't mind. And Sonny Bell, who was my acting teacher, said, I'll take you. And he gave me the scholarship and the assistantship. And I went and got my master's at Western Illinois University for 3 years. And that was probably the best learning, humbleness, getting out of my head type of deal. And then I had met my wife there. We had dated in grad school. And then we moved to Kansas City where she lived. And I lived there for a while. I couldn't really get an acting job. So I started teaching at Maple Woods Community College in Kansas City as an adjunct professor of theater, which I loved. And I was working at a creative arts academy there. And so I worked there for a while. And then I got the job in Coffeyville, Kansas. It was a director of theater, doing the director and technical director of theater. And I got that in 94. And I stayed there for 19 years for about till 2013. And then my daughter was getting older and I wanted to move into a city. Coffeyville's only like 12,000. It's got a big oil refinery and it's like 75 miles from here. And my daughter, I just needed to give her some more, life experience, not in a small town. And so we got a job at TCC, got the coordinator of theater in 2013. I've been here for 13 years and my life's been kind of traveling from there, but that's my journey.
Wow.
Crazy.
You have taken the road around to get there.
Yes.
So you're in your 13th year here at
Yes.
TCC.
Yeah.
But you spent 19 years before that at Coffeyville
Right.
College. So that's over 30 years in community college theater education.
Yeah. It goes fast.
So what keeps you so passionate about teaching at the junior college level?
I think because when I was a student, I know I really wanted it really bad and I really wanted to be in a show. And I worked so hard to I didn't get cast my first 3 years of my undergrad. I didn't get cast my senior year. And then grad school, I never made main stage. I always made studio. So that passion, I see students now that have that passion and I just want to help them get to where they need to be, whether it's an educator or they want to go out and try to make it, or they want to do something else in their life, like social media or, director. I just want to help them because somebody helped me. I had really good instructors that believed in me, and through all my faults and all my, different things that happened to me, they never gave up on me. And so I just, I like the new class. We only get kids for 2 years, sometimes 3. And it's nice to get them as a freshman out of high school and then see where we can get them to after their second or third year to a university or wherever they want to go. So it just kept my passion alive to help others. And I think that's still there.
Nice.
Yeah. I like it.
I like it. So you talked about, you went to college, got a degree.
Yeah.
Went and played baseball.
Yeah.
Went back to college.
Yeah.
That's when you finally got to theater.
Yeah.
So from that point till now, 300 productions acted in.
Well, it's crazy because I started directing 6 shows a year back in 92, and I don't think I've missed a show since, maybe a few up to this point. And so, it's just like 30 years doing 6 shows a year and just not having a summer. And then, acting, when I was in Coffeyville, I was able to act in some of the community theater shows and just have small parts when they didn't have enough. Men are always a problem.
Always.
There's not enough men, right? So
Right.
every community theater, every theater in the world is always looking for men. And so I was a male, so automatically I got cast into something they needed someone to fill. And I was really good friends with this 75-year-old community theater guy that he just was, the community theater was just him. He did all the shows out of his house, sometimes out of a barn.
Wow.
And so I always helped him out. So, I mean, it's just a lot of just doing all the time, just, either directing or, filling in a role here and there. But, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I mean, I think I love directing. It's fun. It's rewarding to see someone grow right in front of you and see a show develop. Just nothing like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So out of all those productions, both on stage or backstage or from the seat out front, do you have one that is particularly stands out to you?
I think, and this is going to sound, I hope this doesn't sound narcissistic, but I think something I wrote myself is fun because you develop it as the script goes on, and you wrote it, and characters take form. So I just I wrote the World of Worlds I was telling you about a little while ago, back in 2019 before COVID. And that was really rewarding because I took the book, not the movie with Tom Cruise, but the book, and followed that story all the way through. And actually just got published about 4 years ago. And then I did another show, Vampires of the Wild West, and we're doing the sequel now. And it seems like I'm finding my voice. I teach script writing, so I'm really hard on myself with script writing. But I think any shows that I've written, I get really reward out of them. Not only because you're God and you created the canvas of those characters, you paint the canvas yourself, but just to see it come, opening night, and then of course beat yourself up over that didn't work. But I think those are the best shows.
Okay.
For me, at least.
So what was your experience like transitioning from Coffeyville to Tulsa?
Oh man, that was, I would have thought, coming to TCC, they had it going on. But what I found out was a smaller college with population 10,000 had a lot more going on as far as policies with the college and syllabus and things that they had set down than TCC did when I first got here, which I thought it would have been the opposite. No disrespect to TCC. I think they do a great job. But just like a lot of the assessment, accreditation, the syllabus, how classes work, the way we get paid, the way we do budgets, the way it's like Superman has Bizarro Superman. That had dorms. This does not. This is a commuter campus. Yeah. I was called at 4 a.m. with theater students that were doing something bad at 4 a.m. at Coffeyville. Here I'm not. People don't like to come back to campus after they leave. I mean, you really have to market your show for them to come all the way back during rush hour, come back to see a play at 8 o'clock. They were on campus, and they were coming to the theater because they had nothing else to do at night. So it was just a bizarro world coming here, because commuter campus versus a dorm campus, and then just the way it's a smaller campus versus there's 4 campuses here. It was just a whole different world. And I was a director there, which means I made all the decisions for the department, no matter what happened. Here I'm just a coordinator, so the dean makes all the decisions, not for the program, but the decisions of the final decision. Mm-hmm. So the dean there just let me run with my program. Here I get to run with it, but there's things that they go, you can't do this, and this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very different. It is quite interesting for a community college to have 4 campuses.
Yes.
I've never. Yes. You would think, okay, just go out and be.
It's crazy. I was like, what's going on? Yeah.
So that's quite interesting. So, I've got a bunch of questions here that kind of jump all over the place. But so in 2015, you helped establish the Oklahoma State Thespian Festival.
Yeah.
You served as president and festival director. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, they had it before. I guess Kevin Hurst, who was the Jenks High School theater teacher, said they had something that was kind of like it, like maybe 3 or 4 years, but nothing big, just something tiny. And we had met with most of the high school teachers. I think, I'm trying to think of the schools. Sapulpa High School, Charles Page. We had some in Oklahoma City. We had Jenks. We all just got together in the room. We said, hey, we need to bring this back, because I know that a lot of these high schoolers didn't want to go to all these colleges. And one of the things that made me do it was we had college auditions here. So we had like 30 colleges come on our campus in the studio theater to watch these auditions of all these high schoolers that put together a package. And it was easier for them just to come to Thespian Festival than travel to all these places. And it started off baby steps, like maybe 50 students. We did it for I think I did it from 2015 to right before COVID, and then they moved it to Oklahoma City. So I think for close to 5 years we did it here, and it blew up to like 2,000 students. We had 10-minute scenes. We had script writing contests. We had tech Olympics. We had so many things that built onto this massive, and it became a monster what it did. I was sad to let it go, but I was kind of happy because it was taking a week of our time and our spaces, which we didn't charge anybody. We said, hey, come do the festival here. I think they're still doing it. It's much smaller now, but I think they're in Oklahoma City. They wanted to move out of Tulsa and go to the high schools in Oklahoma City to kind of give that a shot, because people were driving all the way from Oklahoma City. But no, it's great because I got to have colleges. I didn't know any of the professors, and so them coming up here, going through auditions, having 20 colleges in the room from Oklahoma, and getting to know my peers and the directors at different theaters was just a great blessing. And then getting to know all the high school directors. So I know most of them. A lot of them, some of them have either resigned and got another job, or they've retired. But for the most part, I have a hand in most of the high schools. I go on tour with our improv troupe, and so
Yeah.
I'm able to see them once in a while. But it was a great experience.
Well, ThesFest this year was at Charles Page High School.
Oh, was it?
I was there.
Oh, I love that. It was what is her name? Is it Andre Campfield? She's the director of theater there. She's wonderful.
I actually presented 3 workshops.
Nice.
Did one on leadership in theater.
I was supposed to help them. I couldn't.
Yeah. Did one on leadership in theater and 2 on podcasting.
How big was it? Was it pretty big?
There were a lot of kids. I know that.
That's great. I know.
Yeah.
I know that they work so hard at that. And Andrea and Becky from Sepulpa, Braswell, they were in charge of it, I think, this year, and they wanted me to come and do an improv thing. And I wanted to. I was going to. I was set to do it, and then something happened where we're trying to find a new dean at our college, and like, oh, you're part of this, and this, and you can't do this, and this.
Right.
And I'm like, But I'm so glad you were part of that. I love the Thespian Festival.
I got an invite to.
Yeah.
They were needing workshops.
That's great.
And I've got some high school teacher friends that were going up.
Wonderful.
There. Both of the high schools from Shawnee were going up there.
Great.
And I said, you know what? Why not?
Yeah.
And it was a blast. Teaching leadership to some of these students, and then having a few kids that were interested in podcasting.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
And Charles Page is such a great high school.
Yeah, it was really
good
it
place.
Was spread out, but the classrooms were compact enough that it fit what we were doing.
Yeah.
They had great technology for all the classrooms to be able to do that.
I'm sad I missed it.
It was really, really good. So I was glad I was a part of it. So, you've also been the artistic director of Tulsa's Children's Summer Theater since 1994. That's 32 years.
Yeah. So we started that in Coffeyville. Actually, we did a couple summers at Creative Arts Academy, and then we moved it to Coffeyville. And every summer I've been doing a theater camp, which starts the first 2 weeks of June. And the last 6 weeks of the summer is Children's Summer Theater, where we do a big musical for ages like 6 to 17. The theater camp's like 8 to 13. And we do like how they have the MTI Winnie the Pooh kids, or, Nemo kids, or,
sure.
Aladdin kids. So we do a little show there, and then we do a big musical for children. So I've been doing children's theater forever. Like this summer, we're doing Winnie the Pooh and Beetlejuice Jr., which will be interesting.
Nice. So how did that come about?
Well, at Creative Arts Academy, in 1992, I was in Kansas City, and I could not find a job to save my life. I was teaching at Maple Woods, and this Creative Arts Academy said, we need a drama teacher. It's a dance studio, but we want these kids to learn theater. So I said, well, I can come in and do some acting classes. And so I went in there, and we started doing little shows during the summer. And I said, man, I really enjoy working with these children. And they're 7 to 12, and I mean, some of them were just like so darn good. I was like, this is amazing. And I just fell in love with children's theater. When I got to Coffeyville, they didn't have anything like that in the community. And I said, hey, went to the administrators, hey, do you mind if I do a summer program for the children? They're like, yeah, we got basketball camp, we got volleyball camp, but we got no arts camp. So yeah, go ahead. So I developed that since 94, been doing it ever since. And I haven't had a summer off. It's been going straight. Even during COVID, we did a year and a half of shows on Zoom. We did productions on Zoom, which is crazy to think about, but actors in boxes, but they're just, they have the script in front of them, and they're acting out the script, and we have audience on the side that we can see all their names. And we did I think we did 7, 8, 9 shows like that, including our summer shows. We did 2 summer shows that way, had auditions and everything.
Wow. Got to introduce them to Reader's Theater.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was. It was Zoom, and then we had to talk about lighting and light your room and find a backdrop, and it was just a whole. Well, I don't have to tell you, but COVID was a whole experience of trying to keep theater alive on Zoom the best you could. But we did it. I mean, we did our season, and the college was very supportive, and our designers came out first for the plays during the year and talked about their designs for about 20 minutes to the audience, which they never get to do.
Yeah.
And then we started the show.
Wow.
In Brady Bunch box fashion.
Nice. That's pretty cool. That gives the new ambiance to the creative arts.
Yeah.
You know, because you got to find a way.
You got to find a way. That's right.
Well,
that's right.
That's awesome. So, so the kids still staying on the children's theater. What keeps you coming back to that and doing it for so long?
Well, you know, a lot of these kids grow up and they come to college here. Like we had 5 kids that I started here in 2013 when they were like 7. They're college students this year. They're in my first the first year freshman class. And I'm like, oh, you 5 started with me when I was here. Same with Coffeyville. I've got students that have had children that I'm teaching now, which is really crazy.
Yeah.
But like some kids that were in Coffeyville had moved to Tulsa, and her daughter, I had Leslie as a college student. I had her daughter as in children's summer theater, and now I have her daughter. Someday probably will have a daughter, and so it's just kind of a I think the recruitment factor of having these kids come back to college after they were with you for like some of these kids, they were with me from 2014 to the time that they age out at 17. They're gone for a year and they come back to the college. So I have them when they're real little and then they come through the college. So not everybody does that, but there's a good handful. And it's like, it just makes they know you, they know how you work.
It's a good connection.
It's a great connection. Yeah. It's wonderful.
So you're a full-time theater coordinator, directing 6+ shows every year, running a children's summer theater, and you're a published playwright.
Yeah.
How do you manage all of that without burning out?
Well, you know, I write all the time. I think, you know, because they have that thing called TikTok now that people are jumping on, and I try to stay off TikTok or my phone. And anytime I get the urge to be on my phone, I just write. I just try to write a play, and I think the passion helps with the burnout because my wife, thank God I married her. She was in my MFA theater program. Had she not been in theater, I think I'd been in big trouble. I think I've been divorced probably twice now. But she is an adjunct here. She was a full-time professor at the other college in theater. She's our intimacy coordinator here. She does intimacy. She's in charge of our improvisational studies. She's in improv for like forever. She teaches our intro to theater classes. So I think she helps me because without her, I probably would have burnout, but she picks up where I kind of drop out, or if I'm having a bad day, she picks me up. I couldn't do any of this without her. So that's probably what's helped me not have burnout, is that she's been there for me when you know how it is when you get down and they pick you up and they go, it's okay. You'll get through this and then get to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always good to have a partner that
understands the arts.
Yeah.
And is a theater major.
Yeah. And understands you and how you
Yes, that's exactly right. Yes.
So sticking on that, the playwriting, let's talk a little bit about that. So when you start writing plays, what draws you to a certain idea? Let's just do this. How do you come up with an idea for a play?
Well, I always think about what's not been written yet. So like War of the Worlds, there was a radio play, and I was like, man, there's not a stage play out there. And then when I was trying to find a vampire play in the Wild West, there was no vampire plays out there in the Wild West. I'm like, I'm going to create that. So what about a deli restaurant with Greek characters working at it in the present day, and having Oedipus own a deli and Medea working as a waitress? And, I always think of stuff that people have not written. I don't want to always get like that whole thing of like, oh, that's already been written, you just copied that. I always try to find fresh ideas that are not in the public domain. Like I think next year I'm doing a show that's based off of a Roman play with I don't want to give it away because I haven't announced my season yet, but it's a very like topical thing nowadays that I'm going to put to the Menechmai. So we'll see what happens there. But it's just stuff that hasn't been written yet that I go, I want to write this because I don't think there's stuff out there. And sure enough, when I put it out on the Playwright Exchange, which is a great place to get new plays or just do it, people come up to me, hey, can I I've been looking for a vampire play. Can I do that script? And I never charge them. I never go, you owe me royalties. I just go, anybody that's doing your work and you're not, go ahead,
Yeah.
unless New Stage Press has been publishing my works. I don't have that authority anymore. They do. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, but anything else that's not published, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, Tim, I think just things that have not been written, that things that are a new twist, something that's new that someone hasn't done yet, that I get excited about.
Nice.
Yeah.
So where do you come up with your ideas?
I don't know. I just I think I go, I mean, I see what Oklahoma City's doing and I see what Tulsa's doing, but I also like going on the Chicago website for the underground theater and see what people are doing. And I think, well, people are really doing some really cool basement theater and these unique ideas that are different. And I think about what do I love? And I love vampire stuff. I love Greek stuff. I love anything that I really, really love. And I go, why am I not writing about that? People in Chicago are, and mixing Greek and Roman and with contemporary stuff, or mixing Wild West with vampires, or doing a classic The War of the Worlds. It's stuff I love to do. It's I love to read. Why not do a play about it? That's just what I think about.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So you've written some pretty wild titles.
Yes.
We were talking about the vampires, the Wild West, and the War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
You've also done an Evil Dead musical.
Yes, that I didn't write that one, but I've directed that. That's a great one. That's a great musical.
The Night of the Living Dead.
Yep.
Another one.
Yep.
So you clearly have a love for horror and the genre in theater. So what is it about those stories that appeal to you?
Well, I think the movies are, I don't want to make any film people mad at me, but I think with movies, you have that great ability to shock and scare audiences. And I just think that it's great to do live theater, to be able to do that too, that they're at the edge of their seats waiting to see what's going to happen. I mean, the movie, somebody could have a spoiler, but maybe with the live play, it's always different every night. So you know what's going to happen. So I think doing stuff like that is in a live setting is just more fantastical than watching Halloween or Freddy or, Chucky. I just think live theater is so much cooler to do with those horror things because they're right in front of you.
Yeah.
And you can make them jump right out. You can see them jump out their seat. I don't know. There's just something about that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So we talked a little bit about Next Stage Press.
Yes.
Is your publishing company now. They published several of your work, including The Adventures of Princess Atlantis.
That's just the newest one, yeah.
Both a children's novel and a musical.
Yep.
So can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, so me and my wife tried to have a child, and we just could not have a child for the most part. My wife just had some health issues, and so we decided to foster to adopt. And we fostered to adopt a little girl out of Wichita, Kansas. And unfortunately, she came from a really bad household abuse drug. And we were able to foster her at 5 and then adopt her at 6. And we had a really hard time connecting with her those first couple of years because she was really just abused really bad. And so staying up at night, we would try to create this story together that I would write down. And things that she loved and things that she feared, and she didn't like spiders but she loved fairies and she loved trolls and she loved this and that. And so in the course of 2 years, I had written this story that she had written for me called The Adventures of Princess Atlantis. Her name is Atlantis. And so, at the end, she goes to this world where she's trying to find parents that will love her. And at the end, she finds a forever family and this king and queen that, you find out that when she leaves the land, those are the two people that adopt her, but they're not the king and queen anymore. They're just normal people, but they look a lot like the king and queen that took care of her. And so as she's gotten older, we thought, well, what if we put it on a Coffeyville and made it into a musical with some pop music that we licensed? And so we tried that, and we did a Reader's Theater of it first, and then we did a musical. And then this is after we wrote the novel. The novel got published by Book Locker, and Book Locker also published the musical. And then after we did that, I told Elena, she's 20, almost to be 25 this year, 24 now. I said, I'm going to take the musical, just write the play now because, so the music's much more expensive, and kind of adapted it more into a stage play. And we did it at Tulsa Community Theatre in 2024. That was the premiere of it, and had all these kids in Owasso that came out for it, and gave it to my publishers, and they're like, this is great. Can we publish this? I'm like, yeah. And now I've got like 3 or 4 places that want to do it. But I mean, it's to her benefit that we got really lucky adopting her. She said, well, you saved my life. I'm like, no, you saved our life.
No.
Because, you brought joy to us that we couldn't have a child, and you're our daughter now. And so it's something me and her have together, and we're really proud of it. She came to the opening night, and, was flooded by the actors. This is the real Princess Atlantis, and she's 23, 24. And, that just meant the world to her to see these actors, because she was Princess Atlantis when we first did it at Coffeyville. When we first did the musical, she was 10, and she played the role.
Oh, nice.
She wasn't really an actress, but she wanted to do it. But I think it was just like so many years later, seeing it was so cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's nice. I
Yeah.
like that. So talking about that, you talked about other people reading your stuff, wanting to produce that stuff.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched another company do your stuff?
Yeah. So my friend Sarah, who was a student of mine at Coffeyville, she went and got her master's degree at Oklahoma City University. Is that what it's called? OCU. And they did my production of Ben. I think she directed it. And this is a long time ago. This is probably 12 years ago. And Ben is about a young girl that doesn't get published as a playwright, so she's going to go to New York and blow up the publishing building. And on her way from Iowa to New York, she picks up all these passengers, and you find out at the end that all the passengers are her in different stages of her life. So she's actually taking the trip by herself. But anyway, I went to the show, and kids were so excited. I mean, you feel like a rock star when someone does your show. You're like, I'm really nobody, but thank you.
Yeah.
Well, they did it. They kind of changed it. They did it as a comedy, and it was kind of a drama. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wasn't mad or nothing, but there was some scenes that I thought, wow, I didn't see that. And it was just amazing to see somebody else take your work and kind of change it a little bit. The show was fantastic. They did a great job. It was just really unique. It was neat to see a different spin on it. And I had the same thing happen. I went to go see a show at Emporia State Hotel 5, a show I wrote, and they found more comedy in it than I ever thought I ever wrote in the thing. I'm like, that's weird. I didn't think there was that much funny stuff in there, but they sure added a lot. But I'm okay with that. It's great.
That's good. You were funnier than you thought.
Yes, I just went on here. Yeah.
So you've received multiple Kennedy Center American College Theatre Festival Merit Awards for writing and directing.
Yeah.
That's pretty competitive to get nominated and all of that. So what does it take to create work that stands out at that level?
I don't know. I'm always amazed when they give me one, because sometimes I think that the show wasn't that good. I'm like, I don't know why I got this, because I mean, I'm very tough on myself. I don't think I ever have given myself or my wife. We grade every show that we direct, and I think most shows get a C and B. Not for the actors. That's just for us. We try to really work hard on our craft, and I think I always am surprised if I give a show a C, and then they go, "Oh, we're going to give you a merit award for this writing." I'm like, "Oh, the writing had so much problems and this and that," and I would even email them and say, "Hey, I just don't think I deserve this," and it's still a draft. It's still in its third, fourth draft. And like, no, we really liked. In fact, we'd like to bring some scenes up to the Kennedy Center. And I'm just like, okay, I guess so.
Mm-hmm.
But I really don't know the answer, Tim, because I'm so amazed when I do get stuff like that. I'm not amazed by our kids, because I think our kids, when they get like a design that they do design as a sophomore or freshman, I can see that, because not many designers are doing that at freshman, sophomore level. Or some of our actors, we get a lot of actors that should be at a 4-year, and they come here, and I'm like, you should be at a 4-year. You should not be at a community college. And they're just outstanding. I'm like, you're going to get so many scholarships when you transfer. That I understand, but my work, I don't know. I'm very hard on myself, and I'm surprised. I don't. Sometimes I go, really? Okay, well, I'll take it, but
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I just, it's shocking to me, because but it's like Sam Shepard taking one of his shows, Barry Child, and it wins an award, and then he's like 10 years later, he's like, "Oh, that show sucked. I just rewrote it," and it's won like a Tony and Pulitzer and all that stuff. And because I do think that you're always like looking at your work going, could it be better? And I think that's my problem as a director and a writer. I'm always second guessing and saying, "Oh, maybe I should have did this better or that better," but that's just an artist. That's just a crazy artist in me.
Oh yeah, and I think all of us have a bit of that.
Yeah,
because, you know, we create something.
Yeah.
And we're our own worst critic.
Yeah.
And we're-
Like I can't watch myself doing something 10 years ago. Like, what was I thinking? What was I thinking?
Yeah.
Or even think that something I wrote, like I go to Amazon and I have like my collection of plays on there, and I always have my students read those reviews because they're horrible. This play sucks. It's the worst. And I'm like, I don't take those down because I know that's where I started, and I enjoy reading those because it keeps me humble, and I go, I still have a lot to learn in this art. If I'm not learning as an instructor, then I need to stop teaching.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's true that way too, because as teachers, coaches, trainers, whatever,
Right.
we're constantly pouring into other people.
Yes.
If we don't have something feeding
That's
us,
right. That's right.
eventually you're going to run out of whatever,
That's
So-
that's so true. So true.
Okay, so transitioning into TCC's theater program today, you serves over 80 different theater majors. That's impressive for a community college.
Yeah, I came here as like there's 8, and it was kind of a community theater. They had a lot of community theater people doing the program. It didn't have a 4-year semester plan. It didn't have a graduation plan. It was kind of I don't mean to say this, no disrespect to anybody that was here before me, but it was kind of a mess. And I just started going to the high schools and making relationships with the high school directors, and that's how we built the program, by going to the high schools and getting to know the high school directors and doing workshops for them. And fast forward 13 years, we've jumped to 8. Now, I wouldn't want more than 80. And sometimes we have, so to kind of give you a number on that. So 40 of our students are pretty active. I would say 40 out of those 80s. They do stuff for us. They're in the shows. They do the tech. They do the improv. They do the Watt Festival. They do all the stuff. But the other 40 are kind of floaters. And what I mean by floaters, and that's no disrespect to them, they're working, they have jobs, they do as much theater as they can, they want to be a major, but they just can't audition for a show or work tech. So 80 is a big number, but I would say 40 are participating every day, the other 40 whenever they can, if that makes sense.
What do you think makes the program so attractive to students?
I think we try to do like cutting edge shows. I think we have the improv troupe, which is like 4 shows a year, the Watt Festival. I think the kids really we've had the high school come watch the shows. I think they're happy with the program. The kids that are here, I think they're the best recruiters in the world to go back to their high schools and say, hey, this is a good program, right?
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be this, it's this. And I'm not saying it's great. It's got its issues. But I think for a lot of them, they were so surprised that they go, this is not what we thought it was going to be for a community college program.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that's gotten us a lot of kids, because anytime they go back now, they just say, hey, it's if you can't go to OSU, if you can't go to OU, TCC is fine. You'll get 2 years, you'll be on stage on a freshman, you'll be designing as a freshman. And I think those kids look at that and go, okay, Tulsa Achieves pays for everybody in Tulsa. If you went to a Tulsa public school, Tulsa Achieves gives you 2 years free at TCC.
Wow.
So you can go to TCC for free under Tulsa Achieves. So why wouldn't you go to a community college for free? But, some kids have, bigger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got aspirations.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to AMDA. I'm going to New York School of Consortium. You go right ahead.
Yeah.
Good luck to you.
There you go. So walk us through what a typical season looks like at TCC.
Well, if I can use this one, we start off with Heathers, which we've always wanted to do Heathers. Heathers is kind of a tough show, though. We had to bring in a suicide counselor from our wellness center to talk to the audience and be in the lobby for people that were might be triggered. And we wanted to make sure we took care of our audience and kind of partner with our wellness center and our suicide prevention people in Tulsa. And so we had those ladies come and talk to our cast, talk to the audience beforehand. So we'll do a musical. We do a musical in studio, and then every other year we do a musical on main stage. So this year was our studio musical. Our musical is usually not done till February, but we thought we'd start off with Heathers, so we just thought that was just a really good. And we brought back a guest artist, a girl that had graduated 5 years ago, Sophia Christ, and she's got an amazing voice, and we brought her back as a guest artist, and it was great for the kids to work with her. Our second show, we try to do an educational. We did a Ionesco absurdist piece. We did The Chairs and The Bald Soprano. These are absurdist plays from the 60s. And so there's the education factor of what absurdist theater is. So we try to do something that's in the educational realm of a timepiece. And Ionesco is a great person. We do a Watt Festival in December, and that is our script writing class 1 and 2. We pick scripts from those 2 classes to be read as readers' theaters to see how their scripts sound, have the audience fill out forms on them, critique them. And then we go into the spring, and we usually do a smaller show. Like Meteor Shower is only 4 people. It's because we try to let our costume department only have 2 big shows and 2 small shows, because it just kills our costume designer.
Yeah.
And then our last show is usually a big show, which is usually an original play that we get from script writing class. But this year I'm doing one of mine, Brandy and Cecilia, Vampire Hunters. And then we go into the summer, and we try to find something that's really topical that Tulsa's tough because everyone does the same show. So the market's really flooded in Tulsa that you have like 27 shows going on at the same time. So you've got to make sure you're not repeating those shows.
Sure.
So like the summer is the hardest. So we did Winnie the Pooh Kids, which, I mean, I'm sure people are doing that, but not for a while. And then Beetlejuice Jr., no one's doing that. We got that. And I think there was a high school that was doing it, but we try to pick shows that the community theaters aren't doing. It's really hard. They'll come out with their season. We're like, oh, we picked that show and we have to change it. Like Mamma Mia. I think that one time we picked Mamma Mia. They picked Mamma Mia. We picked Kinky Boots. They picked Kinky Boots. So Theater Tulsa and us have been kind of back and forth with our seasons, but they do like 25 shows a year.
Yeah.
We only do 6. So we're trying not to step on their toes and be polite and respectful, or any other community theater in town, and not double up, as I call it. So it takes a lot of strategic planning on how to build a season. And I think like next year's season, I know that there's none of the shows that we're doing, at least I think, no one's repeating those shows. And I'm sure the same thing happens in Oklahoma City, where you go, oh, they're doing the play that goes wrong. They're doing the play that goes wrong. They're doing the play that goes wrong. They're doing 39 steps.
Yeah.
They're doing 39 steps. And so we just try not to do that. And it helps with the audience. And we have to protect our students here, because they always say, hey, can we have some of your students for our community theater? And we're like, no, we need them for our stuff, because men are really hard to come by in Tulsa.
Yeah.
And they're always like, you got any, if I have a few men that didn't get cast, they're like, hey, you want to use them? Go ahead. But can we still have our auditions first? And then, but we don't want to take anything away from them. You know what I mean? But that's how we come up with our season. I think it's more making sure there's an educational component in there, a Greek, a classic, a Shakespeare, a classical. Next year we have 2, I think, classic shows in there, because we still are a college and we're still trying to teach them about, the different eras of the plays, Tennessee Williams, Arthur Miller, blah, blah, blah. But we also want to put some fun stuff in there too for them that gets them excited.
Cool.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the Rubber Chicken Factory. How did that come about?
Well, my wife did Laughing Stock in Kansas City when she was 18 years old in 1990, and her guy named Shannon Riley, who now runs Laughing Matters, I think that's what it's called, at the Topeka Civic Theater. And he was, that was her boyfriend at the time, and she had done improv since 1990 to 1992, went to college. I met her at Western. She did WIT, Western Illinois Improv, or whatever it's called. And she did improv for 2 years there. When we got married and we moved to Coffeyville, we started the Rubber Chicken Factory, something that she thought was a funny name. And she knew improv really well, being trained by Shannon for 4 or 5 years. And so we basically started doing improv shows in 94, and we did them all the way through 19 years, got to 6 shows a year. It was crazy because the dorm kids had nothing to do at 9 o'clock at night. So on Monday nights at 9 o'clock, they all went to the theater, which was 335 seats, probably packed it with 400. Unfortunately, there were people that brought booze. We'd find the empty booze bottles after the next day. It's kind of a drunk fest. But anyway, we did 6 shows a year for 6 improv shows a year for 19 years. We moved here. We weren't sure we had the Rubber Chicken Factory name because she had licensed that. And since we left the college, we didn't know if the college owned that. So we were die laughing for a while here, a couple of years, but then we went to a nursing home and the guy's like, I think you ought to change the name of that. laughing because we did a nursing home show. And the guy's like, I don't know if that's a good name.
Yeah.
Especially you guys are doing a show here. Like, that's probably true. So we called the college in Coffeyville and said, hey, can we have the Rubber Chicken Factory name? And they're like, yeah, you guys, it was always yours. You guys licensed it and you guys copyrighted it and everything. And we didn't know that. And the president was really cool with me. I got along with her really well. And so we brought the name back in 2016 or 17 and been doing four shows ever since. It's different here though, because it's only 100 people. And the climate's different, and it's hard to get audience development's really hard to get people to come back to campus to watch something like that.
Yeah.
But she created that. She's been doing improv we've had kids going to Second City. We've had kids that are in improv, the professional improv troupe that what's his name? Arch is doing with Cody Mayo Studios.
Okay, yeah.
He's a Second City guy. He's got an improv troupe now that we send a lot of our kids to him. But yeah, it's just been it's been a long journey doing improv, and she's been doing it since 1990. So I just kind of help her out with the sound and stuff, and I perform once in a while with her, but it's mostly the kids in the troupe, and I've been doing it since then.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So you've got some incredible facilities here.
I'm very blessed.
1,500 seat Van Chase Performing Arts Center for Education.
Yeah.
The main stage over there and the studio black box here. How do the spaces help shape what you're able to do with these students?
Well, I think it gives them a world of experience of performing on a big stage in a black box. And that's something you really want because you don't know where they're going to go off to school. Sometimes they have a black box in the big theater where they're going, but sometimes they don't. So like you said, when we were talking earlier, the intimacy of having that smaller space and being real close to the audience and understanding what acting is all about and vocal and in movement and everything. And then going on the main stage and the grand gestures and hopefully the volume and projection without the mics and the difference in training of both those stages, I think give the student a really good education on how to perform in both those spaces. So very lucky and blessed to have both spaces. We only use the main stage every other year. We do the musical on there and our children's summer theater on there, but I prefer the black box just because I like being real close to the audience.
Absolutely.
The Pace main stage is so far away; it seems like we're miles away from the audience, and like, are they even there? Are they out there? And it you know this, Tim, directing on a space like that, it's just blocking is different.
Yeah.
Staging is different, and it's just a whole education for me with them when I'm on there. So just to answer your question, it's a good education for them to get those two spaces under their belt before they leave for their 4-year. Yeah.
Now, do you have these spaces and you have all of this stuff going on? Do you have the focus on technical theater as well?
Yeah, so we have Emily Westerfield and Jared Hansen, who Jared just took over for Aaron Kennedy. He was with us since 2016, and he got a job in California at university out there, Chico University, I think it is. And Jared is a first year. His first year teaching, coming here with a lot of technical experience, working on summer stock stuff, and but they have to do tech also here. They can't just do performance. So we do in the major classes have costume is a major requirement, costuming, makeup, stagecraft, lighting. We have more tech classes than performance classes with their associates than we do when they graduate. So they have to have all that tech experience under their belt before they leave here, because most of them will end up doing tech first before they perform. And so they have to light, they have to build sets. They're in the shop. They have to so we really make sure that they have that they balance it out, that they have tech and performance before they leave here. We have some that really have a hard time doing tech and they don't want to, but they're forced to because that's their major. They have to take those classes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But we have technicians who have to take acting. And they're like, Mark, can you please help me through this class?
Exactly.
I will help you through. Don't you worry. We'll get you through here.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea for the people on stage to understand what goes into putting on that show.
Yes, absolutely.
So, your students regularly transfer to OU, OSU, ORU, NSU, Northwestern Oklahoma State, Wichita State. What are you doing to prepare them for success at those 4-year programs?
Well, recently we've been having more people go to NSU with Robin Pursley and NWOSU with Kimberly Weiss. Those are probably our two top schools because they give the most money. But to prepare them is we have those college professors come to a class called theater practice. We have a class once a week called theater practice, and theater practice is where we're going through and we are having all majors in one room, all 80 majors every Wednesday, and we bring those faculty members to come speak to them about what the program's about. So they'll do, OSU will come Wednesday and they'll talk about the program. We'll have another college come the next week. And so they'll be able to ask questions and see the classes. They'll sometimes do a workshop. But we probably have had almost every college in Oklahoma come through that class and prepare our students for what's ahead for them, what scholarship things they have to do, what letters they have to get written, what things they have to go through. And then we set up the campus visit right away while we're there. But I would say Robin Pursley, Northeastern State University, and Kimberly Weiss, they probably come down the most. They have most of our kids. We send a lot to Tahlequah. We send a lot to Kimberly Weiss area, and they want them. They come. They always like, hey, can we come to your class? Can we come to your class? Because they know that our kids are going to go there. OSU, good school. OU, not always the money schools. They don't give a lot of money. Not saying they're not good programs. They are, but they might only be able to give like $200, where Robin might give like half tuition, full tuition. Kimberly, full tuition.
Wow.
UCO, they're more of a conservatory. They don't take a lot of our credits at University of Oklahoma City University does not take a lot of our stuff. They're kind of a conservatory, so they won't take our stuff. Edmond, University of Central Oklahoma, not many scholarships there. We've been sending a lot of kids to Wichita State. They've been giving us scholarships at Wichita. So it just depends on who's going to give kids the money.
Sure.
And that's kind of how we go through that.
Okay. So looking to the future, we've been talking a lot about the past and what we got going on. What are your goals for the TCC program? Where do you want to see it in, say, 5 years?
Well, I want it to continue to thrive and do really good shows and challenge myself and challenge my students. Our faculty challenge our students. We have a really good faculty, theater faculty with Emily and Jared, and continue to be the team that we need to be. We don't really have many bumps in the road. We all get along really well. We kind of know each other. Jared's new, but I mean, we just want to continue to do what we've been doing successfully. I mean, I probably have 8 years left before I retire, work till 68, 69. I would have been retired if I was in Kansas. I would have stayed at Coffeyville. I would have retired 2 years ago. So coming here, I had to change, Capers is different than the Oklahoma retirement. So it added 10 years to my teaching life. So, or 8 years, and that's okay. I don't know what I would be doing at home anyway, maybe doing a podcast or something. I don't know. You do such a great job at it, but 8 years left, about 68, 69. So I turned 59 in May. So I got about 8 more years left of doing this, but I do want it to thrive. And I do want to continue to have really good students, really good shows, keep it about 80, make sure that we're doing what we need to do to help the college with their bills. So the theater program is viable for them.
Yeah, you got to feed.
Yes,
you gotta
that's
feed
right.
The money
That's
monster.
right. Keep the administrators happy.
That's right. So you've still got more plays being published.
Yep.
Next stage.
Yep.
Do you have any current projects you're working on right now?
I think right now, just the vampire, Brandy and Cecilia vampires. I'll probably write the third one. It's a trilogy, so I'll probably do that in a couple of years. But I think next year I'm doing a parody of a Roman play, so with a contemporary twist on I can't say what it is, and I'm kind of doing an adaptation of a Roman play that I'm working on that has a contemporary twist. So
Okay.
that's my biggest project right now.
Okay.
I haven't started it yet because I'm working on vampires, but.
So tell us a little bit about this vampire story. You say it's a trilogy. You've already done.
Well,
you're doing
if you ever seen Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood,
Okay.
and if you've ever seen The Lost Boys, it's Unforgiven meets The Lost Boys. So
Okay.
so this gang of thugs come into the western town. They're vampires, try to take over the town, and they get this sheriff that's retired to come out and try to kill these vampires, and you have this bar that has these prostitutes working in. Well, these two girls become vampire hunters just by reading this old book they found in they go and get this old gunfighter to help them out, and they defeat all the vampires at the end of the play except for one that gets away. And then you find out that this woman that is left being a vampire is actually a descendant of Dracula, and so part 2 is they go out to Transylvania to Dracula, and now we've got the whole Dracula story going on with the Vampires of the Wild West, and
Okay.
so it goes there, and then I think the third trilogy will be, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Good, the Bad, the Ugly with Clint Eastwood.
Mhm.
It'll kind of go to the desert then from there with, I can't give away the ending, but it'll end out in the desert someplace.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a good trilogy. And again, like you said, where do I get my ideas from? I'm a very big Clint Eastwood. I like the old Western. I like the old, I don't know if you like the old Western
Oh, yeah.
Clint Eastwood movies, and big Lost Boys fan. So I've actually making a Lost Boys musical, is what I understand.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I heard.
I've seen some of the
Yeah, and I was like, that's
some
great.
of the pictures of the cast.
Finally,
stuff
something
like
I
that.
can, all this
Yeah.
these other 80s ones. I'm like, really? But
Yeah, we keep having that conversation and stuff like not everything needs to be a musical.
that's right. So when it said Lost was like, finally a musical,
Yeah,
I could go.
And I can
Hey,
get behind that.
that's
one.
right, right.
Yeah. So, how do you see theater and theater education changing, and how are you changing with it?
Well, I think pronouns have been a big thing. I always want to be respectful to my classmates, transgender students that, they have the dead name on the roster, and you want to make sure that you're respecting their pronoun. I think pronouns has really come into the classroom, especially in theater. I don't know about other programs, but many of our students are maybe afraid of what's happening in the culture. And I think there's a lot more mental health stuff that we have to deal with. As far as when I was in school, you didn't know somebody was autistic or maybe had Tourette's or transgender. I mean, that's just something we didn't talk about when I was in the 80s. Nowadays, mental health is a huge issue with a lot of students. They'll miss weeks and say, I have mental health issues, can't come to class, or it's a pronoun issue that another instructor in an English class is not saying the correct pronoun for that student. And they come to us and they're just, really having a mental health day. Or somebody that's autistic that's in our class that we really have to slow the class down because, it's just, to focus on and make sure they understand what's going on. So the culture's really changed since just 10 years since I've been teaching. It's changed so much. You got to be real careful with people. Sometimes Title IX can be used as a weapon, and I'm not saying people hitting on people, but you don't cast somebody, they might go, well, I'm going to Title IX you for that because I was supposed to be casting, you didn't cast me. That's happened to me. Didn't go anywhere, but there's just a lot of danger in education nowadays. You got to be real careful, make sure that you're being supportive, make sure they understand why they're not getting cast. The culture's changed a lot in 10 years. I think, I love teaching. I just want to make sure my students are safe, healthy, have good mental health, and, they're okay, because I think a lot of people are suffering, and I see it in my classrooms. I see people missing, and I go, what's wrong? I'm going to drop out. I'm like, no, don't drop out. So the college has a wellness program here where they get 4 free psychiatrist sessions for free if they need it. And I really love the college for that, because there's a lot of our students that do after COVID. It just,
Yeah.
and I think it still continues. And I think the college is really good for that wellness program that we have. It's just those students that we do get some entitled students that we say, one student could cause a lot of problems if they don't get their way. And how do you deal with that student? And you try to find another pathway for them that it's going to make them happy, so they don't turn on you, or they don't turn on the program, or they just leave. But second chances, third chances are great for people. I mean, I always say 18-year-olds are 4 years from 14. And that's how I see it, because sometimes that behavior is 4 years from 14.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of 18-year-olds. So that's the business that we're in, 18, 19, 20.
Sure.
And some are great. Some act like they're 30. Some act like, but some can act, and it's our job to help them grow up while they're here. So when they leave here, they're ready for their 4-year, and they don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
We dealt with it.
It's a good transition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to young people in Oklahoma who are thinking about pursuing theater, especially those starting at the community college level?
I would tell them, look, I think I always bring up Anthony Hill, who was a football player at OSU, came back to Coffeyville, was a football player, broke his leg, got into theater. He's on Grey's Anatomy as a doctor, playing a doctor. Just because you're at community college doesn't mean that you can't go for it. Make big. Alex Schneiderman, who was Alexa in K-pop, she left here and went after her dreams and went to Korea and did a contest, and now she's Alexa, K-pop, superstar. And she was in Big Fish here. I mean, she was like in 9 shows here. And I'm like, don't think small, that you can make it in this business, but don't also forget about social media director. Don't forget about other different things that you can't do that's not theater based, that is great for your degree, like marketing director, educational teacher. Everybody wants to make it to Hollywood and become a big star. And we do have those kids that have gone on to do that. But don't forget about this, that if you really want to keep doing this, nursing home director, social service director, social media director, there's great jobs with a degree in theater, lawyer. We have to remind the kids that sometimes. They're like, oh, I thought, because we see them 10 years later, like, I thought I was going to make it. And, I said, well, what are you doing? I'm working at a nursing home as a social service director. I'm like, well, you're doing it. You're in front of an audience. Yeah. Plus you're doing community theater. So you're doing everything you love to do. Don't sell yourself short. I think sometimes these kids come in and they're like, right away, I want to be in a movie tomorrow. And that's great. Tulsa has a lot of film opportunity, and thank God they do. But if it doesn't pan out, don't be afraid to go after something else that's still related to the art.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's what the college wants us to do too, to have a list of different things that they could go into, so the parents aren't like, okay, I know they're a theater major, but what's their real major?
Yeah. What are they really going to do?
What do they really want to do?
Yeah. So if someone's listening and they want to see a show at TCC or get involved with the program, how do they do that?
They can just email me at mark.frank@tulsacc.edu, or stop by the Studio Theater and ask for me. If they want to see a show, I'm always one of those people that get free tickets. So I never, if you want to see a show and you're like, I've never been to a show, if Tim wants free tickets, anybody, we like to give free tickets out, just because, people, money's hard these days. And if you've never been to a show, try us out. But you can email me. You can call me. Like I said, probably email mark.frank@tulsacc.edu would be the best way to contact me for tickets or a tour, or they want to be involved here.
Okay. Well, Mark, we're coming to the end of the interview.
Okay. Awesome.
But what I always like to do is end our show or episode with a little bit of fun.
Okay.
And we always end with what we call our casting call, or our curtain call, curveballs.
Okay.
So it's the end of the show, so it's the curveballs.
Yeah.
What these are basically just off the top of your head.
Okay.
Quick, some of them may or may not have anything to do with theater.
All right.
We don't know. So, first question. If you could only direct horror or children's theater for the rest of your life, which would you choose?
Children's theater. For sure.
Good.
For sure.
I like it. Second question. Do you still get nervous before a show opens, or has that gone away over the years?
Nervous every single time, like I'm about to ready to throw up. That's how bad it is.
Is that whether you're on stage or off stage?
Yes, it doesn't matter. As long as I've done this, it's always, I've got a knot in my stomach the size of Mississippi.
Nice. So you've been running Tulsa Children's Summer Theater since 1994.
Yeah.
What's the secret to not getting tired of working with kids every summer?
I would say patience, and just great patience, and knowing that some of those kids can make you laugh so hard. It's the best time of my life during the whole year, is watching them on stage. If I could do children's theater 6 shows a year, just doing children's theater, I would do that.
Because you get to be a kid yourself?
Yeah, I get to be a kid yourself, and you get to just laugh and have a good time.
If you could have dinner with any playwright, living or dead, who would it be, and what would you ask them?
Arthur Miller, who I met in person at the William Inge Center. I went to the library to get his autograph, and then he said yes, give me the thing. And then 27,000 people behind me saw me do that, and they rushed into the museum. He gave me the dirtiest look in the world. So I'd want to have dinner with him to apologize for that, because he was really mad, because he wanted some peace and quiet. He was like 89, 90 years old at the time. And he's really mad at me. He's really mad at me because they saw him do that for me, and they're like, oh, and they just swarmed. I felt so bad.
But I would be the same place. So Arthur Miller's one of my favorites.
Yes.
Okay. Very quick. Acting or directing? You can only do one for the rest of your life.
Directing, I'm not a very good actor.
I doubt that, but okay. So what genre or story are you dying to tackle that you haven't yet?
I would say, oh, that's a good one. I would say more absurdist stories.
So like the absurdist.
Yeah, like the absurdist. Yeah, the crazy. Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks is my biggest fan. I'm a huge fan of Mel Brooks.
Yeah. Like Mel Brooks, Monty Python.
Oh, Monty Python. Yeah.
You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you for
Thank you for having me. This is great.
I appreciate this.
You're so good at this.
Fun. We appreciate this. I hope everybody can go out and see Cecilia Brandy, Vampire Hunters at TCC, running April 16th through 19th. Yep. And also check out the Rubber Chicken Factory, the improvisational comedy troupe. You can catch all of that. They have both had the Rubber Chicken Factory has a Facebook page. They talk about all of their stuff. I follow them as well. So check them out on social media. You can also find information about them through the Tulsa Community College website. And so that's all we've got for today. Mark, again,
thank you for having me.
We appreciate you being part of this.
Thank you.
For everybody else listening at home, we thank you for giving us just a little bit of time in your life, whether it be your drive, whether it be your quiet time at home. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the show. Go out and support all these places that we've listened to. No matter what it is, it doesn't matter if it's live theater, if it's painting, if it's ballet, whatever. Just continue to support the arts.